The tragedy of Robert Garrison Brown left a void in the Sister Wives universe that will never be filled. It was a loss that shattered hearts across the world and forced a mirror in front of Kody Brown's fractured family. But amidst the grief, the tears, and the public outcry, there remains a narrative thread that was cut short, a story of resistance, of brotherhood, and of a desperate, unspoken mission that was never completed. For years, fans watched as the family disintegrated into two warring factions, the loyal circle inside Robyn's mansion and the disobedient castaways on the outside. But what if the conflict wasn't just about COVID rules? What if it was about a rescue mission? Today, we are going deeper than we ever have before, into the theory that Garrison Brown wasn't just fighting against Kody's rules, but he was fighting for something specific. We are uncovering the evidence of Garrison's secret desire to break the walls down, specifically to reach the sibling who seemed the most trapped, the most isolated, and the most indoctrinated by the narrative inside the McMansion. Aurora Brown, do you understand this? We have to look past the surface-level arguments about holiday plans and text threads. We have to look at the psychology of control. We know that Garrison was the soldier, the fixer, the one who built flower beds for his mother and repaired the engines that Kody left to rust. It stands to reason that his protective instinct didn't stop at Janelle's door. New analysis of the timeline, the gift exchange text thread fiasco, and the heartbreaking final season reveals a young man who saw his siblings, specifically Aurora and Brianna, being pulled into a vortex of manipulation, and who was desperately trying to find a way to pull them out before the doors locked forever. This is the story of the secret plan to free Aurora from the grip of the McMansion, and why Kody Brown viewed his own son as an existential threat to his control. To fully grasp the magnitude of Garrison's frustration, we must first deconstruct the architecture of separation that Robyn and Kody meticulously built. This wasn't an accident. It was a design. When the family moved to Flagstaff, the physical distance created a psychological chasm. But it was the arrival of the pandemic that handed Kody the ultimate tool for control. We watched for seasons as the protocols were weaponized. While the world was navigating a health crisis, Kody Brown was navigating a loyalty crisis. He didn't just want safety, he wanted submission. And this is where Garrison becomes the protagonist of the resistance. Garrison, with his logical mind and military background, saw right through the contradictions. He saw a father who would travel to officiate a wedding but wouldn't travel to see his sons. He saw a father who demanded absolute isolation from the boys who were working and going to school, yet hired a nanny and outsider to come into Robyn's home daily. The big picture that Garrison saw was terrifying. He realized that the COVID rules were effectively a siege wall built around Robyn's house. Inside that wall were Dayton, Aurora, Brianna, Solomon, and Ariella. Outside that wall was everyone else. Garrison vocalized the separation more clearly than anyone else. In his long, detailed conversations with Janelle, he pointed out that Robyn's children were being raised in a bubble where the outside siblings were painted as dangerous, careless, and unloving. This is the crux of the secret plan. It wasn't a plan to kidnap anyone. It was a plan to shatter the narrative. Garrison understood that as long as Aurora and Brianna were kept physically refreshing the idea that the boys don't love you, they would never have a relationship. His plan was presence. He wanted to force a gathering, force a conversation, and force Kody to let the children interact so that Aurora could see with her own eyes that her brothers loved her. Think about Aurora's position in this family. From the moment she entered the family, she was positioned as the compliant one. We've seen the panic attacks, the extreme emotional reliance on Kody, and the way she is often physically shielded by Robyn. To a fiercely independent spirit like Garrison, seeing a younger sister being molded into a state of learned helplessness must have been agonizing. Fans have long speculated that Garrison viewed Aurora not as an enemy, but as a hostage of the emotional dynamic. When Kody demanded that the boys apologize to Robyn to be allowed back in, Garrison refused. Why? Because apologizing would validate the lie. It would validate the idea that the boys were the aggressors and Robyn's kids were the victims. Garrison's refusal was a strategic stand. He was refusing to participate in the gaslighting that kept Aurora mentally trapped in the idea that her brothers were unsafe. The most explosive evidence of Garrison's attempt to reach across the divide occurred during the infamous gift exchange text thread. This was the catalyst for the total family implosion, but if you read between the lines, it was Garrison's desperate attempt to communicate directly with his siblings without Cody and Robyn acting as the filter. The plan was simple: organize a sibling gift exchange. No parents. No politics. Just the kids. This was the Trojan horse. By trying to organize a direct link between the OG-13 and Robyn's 5, the older kids were attempting to reestablish a line of communication that Robyn couldn't monitor or manipulate. They wanted to say, "We are here, we are a family, and we don't need Cody's permission to love each other." Robyn's reaction to this text thread tells us everything we need to know about why Garrison's plan was so necessary, and why it was doomed to fail. Robyn immediately intervened, claiming her children didn't remember who their siblings were, or that the text thread was unsafe and aggressive. She effectively blocked the direct line of communication. Why? Because if Aurora and Brianna started texting directly with Logan, Hunter, Garrison, and Gabe, the narrative of the mean, scary older brothers would evaporate. Garrison knew this. His frustration in the thread, his assertion that they were all adults, was a plea for autonomy. He was shouting at the wall, trying to get Robyn's kids to hear him. The tragedy is that Robyn interpreted this reach out as an attack, and she used it to tighten her grip on Aurora even further, painting the older boys as bullies rather than brothers desperate for connection. The juxtaposition of Cody taking Aurora to get her ears pierced, a tender, father-daughter bonding moment, while he ignored Gabriel's birthday and refused to see Garrison, was the final nail in the coffin. Garrison saw this. He saw the preferential treatment not just as unfairness to himself, but as a tool of indoctrination. For Aurora. By showering Aurora with the attention he withheld from the others, Cody was buying her loyalty. He was teaching her that obedience equals love, and independence equals exile. Garrison's mission shifted from trying to get back into the house to trying to build a life outside that was so undeniable that maybe, just maybe, the younger kids would eventually get curious enough to leave the nest. He was building a landing pad. He bought his house, he focused on his career, he built a support system with Gabe and the others. He was creating a free Brown family zone, hoping one day Aurora might find the courage to visit. We need to talk about the two Auroras theory, a concept heavily discussed in the deep corners of the fandom, which Garrison likely recognized intimately. There was the Aurora before the move to Flagstaff. Still anxious, yes, but integrated with the other girls, laughing with Gwendolyn and Isabel. Then there is the Aurora of the Flagstaff era, isolated, clinging to Cody, and seemingly terrified of the outside world. Garrison, having grown up with her, knew who she used to be. His anger at Robyn wasn't just about his own rejection. It was about the erasure of his sister's personality. The secret plan wasn't a schematic written on paper. It was the emotional labor of keeping the door open despite Cody slamming it shut. Every time Garrison said, "I miss them," or "we just want to see them," he was sending a signal flare. The obstacle, however, was the narrative of safety. Robyn and Cody successfully weaponized the concept of emotional safety. They convinced Aurora that Garrison and Gabriel were not just rule breakers, but that they were fundamentally unsafe people to be around. This is a classic isolation tactic. By framing the older boys' valid criticism of Cody's parenting as abuse toward Robyn, they created a moral imperative for Aurora to cut them off. Garrison's struggle was fighting against a phantom. He couldn't fight for his sister because he was being painted as the villain in her story. The shock here is realizing how deep the manipulation went. It wasn't just stay away 6 feet. It was stay away because they hate your mother. Garrison had to know that the only way to break that grip was to wait, to be successful, and to hope that eventually the truth would outlast the LA. In the final months, we saw a Garrison who was exhausted. He had tried the direct approach. He had tried the logical approach. He had tried the emotional approach. The secret plan had stalled because the walls around Robyn's house had become impenetrable fortresses of emotional manipulation. But even in his silence, His existence was a protest. By maintaining a close bond with Christine and her children, Garrison was proving that the family could exist without Cody's ring-kissing requirements. He was maintaining the network. If Aurora ever decided to look over the wall, she would have seen a family that was thriving, loving, and fun. Everything she was being told didn't exist outside of Robyn's orbit. The term Lost Boys was thrown around by Cody as an insult, but Garrison wore it as a badge of honor. But the tragedy lies in what the Lost Boys couldn't save. We have to wonder, if Garrison had been allowed to just come over for a barbecue in 2021, would the walls have come down? If Cody had facilitated a conversation instead of demanding an apology, would Aurora have a relationship with her brothers today? The secret plan was really just a plan for normalcy. It was a plan to be a regular family. And the fact that this simple desire was treated as an insurrection is the true indictment of Cody Brown's leadership. When Garrison passed, the entire family had to face the reality of the division. We saw the heartbreaking images of the family reunited in grief. And in those moments, we have to ask, did the wall finally crack? Did Aurora, seeing the outpouring of love for her brother, realize the magnitude of what was stolen from them? Garrison's death forced the proximity that Cody had spent years preventing. It is the cruelest irony that it took the loss of his life to bring the family physically into the same space. The plan to reunite the siblings was ultimately fulfilled, but at the highest possible cost. Robyn's grip, often described by fans as suffocating, was based on the premise that she needed to protect her tender children from the harshness of the rest of the family. But Garrison's life and his friends' testimonies proved that he was kind, funny, and deeply caring. The monster Robyn protected Aurora from didn't exist. And now Aurora is left in the McMansion, presumably still under that grip, but now living in a world where the possibility of reconciliation with Garrison is gone forever. This is the haunting what if that hangs over the show. Garrison wanted to free them from the lie. He wanted them to know they were loved by the whole family, not just the people under Cody's roof. In the end, Garrison Brown's legacy is not defined by the conflict, but by the love that fueled it. His resistance to Cody's rules was born out of a desire to keep the family whole. His secret plan was simply the enduring hope that blood is thicker than protocol. While he may not have succeeded in physically pulling Aurora out of the bubble during his lifetime, his story has exposed the bubble for what it is to the entire world. He shone a light on the unfairness, the manipulation, and the tragedy of the separation. As we continue to watch the fallout of sister wives, we must remember that the silence between the siblings isn't just about teenage angst or moving away. It's about a systematic dismantling of bonds that Garrison fought until the very end to preserve. He may be gone, but the truth he stood for remains. The question now is, will the other children, will Aurora and Brianna, eventually find the keys that Garrison left behind and unlock the door themselves? What do you think? Was Garrison the only one truly fighting for the family unity? Do you think Aurora will ever break free from Robyn's narrative now that the tragedy has occurred? Let's discuss this respectfully in the comments below. This is a heavy topic, but it's one that needs to be understood to honor the complexity of what this family has gone through. I'll see you in the next video. Cody Brown tells all in Special Forces reunion. Recap of bombshells from the Sister Wives star Cody Brown isn't done surprising viewers following his stint on Special Forces, World's Toughest Test. After Season 4 of the Fox reality show wrapped on Thursday, November 20th, Cody, 56, joined Andrew East, Gia Giudice, Sean Johnson East, and Brianna LaPaglia for a special reunion. I had sheer curiosity. I wanted to see what the next day had. Cody shared on the Friday, November 21st, episode of the Vile Files Reunion Edition podcast about his endurance on the show. I felt like I was paid for 10 days to be there, so I was going to be there for the 10 days. I wanted to see what the next thing was. During Thursday's season finale, Cody was eliminated following an intense interrogation and simulated capture exercise. While sitting down with host Nick File, Cody was more than happy to answer some burning questions from viewers. Keep reading to read some of the bombshells the Sister Wives star dropped when recalling his experience on Special Forces. Cody Brown discusses reality TV retirement since 2010. Cody has allowed TLC cameras to capture his life with his 4 wives, Robyn, Christine, Janelle, and Mary Brown, and their combined 18 children. Currently, he is just married to Robyn. During his latest interview, Cody admitted it's a challenge to be on reality TV. As a result, he wouldn't mind if Robyn, 47, wanted to step away. "I'd like to retire my wife Robyn from reality television so they can't pit us against each other now," he said before reassuring that everything is good in their relationship. "We're solid. I like to talk about my wife who is shy, who doesn't want me talking about her, but she's my favorite person in the world." Cody Brown talks divorce. At one point in the interview, Nick, 45, asked if getting divorced from 3 wives was as expensive as it sounded. "It's been expensive emotions in a way that is inconceivable, I think," Cody shared. "There was no legal marriage. It was only expensive in paying for kids. They all made more money than me, so there was no alimony to be paid." Regardless of the financial cost, Cody said the splits had an impact on his mental health. "I think something just tweaked me a little bit," he explained. "You can't come out of 3 divorces and not struggle a little bit with some sort of mental illness." Cody Brown denies being sexist during Thursday's season finale of Special Forces. Cody struggled when being questioned by a female member of the intelligence operation. In a September episode of The Fox show, Cody also discussed his biased outlook on men versus women. "I am going to say this at the risk of sounding sexist," he shared. "I think men want to be respected and women want to be loved. I don't care if you love me, but I care if you respect me." While speaking with Nick, Cody responded to claims he may be sexist by saying, "I always preferred the company of women to men. In a men's world, you don't have to behave completely like a gentleman," he continued. "But I used to be good at constantly talking about what was appropriate around women because I was always around women and I preferred their company." What Cody Brown brought to Special Forces. Many contestants have often described the limited resources they have while filming Special Forces. According to Brianna, 26, her co-star brought a bag of supplements the size of this couch to the show. When asked to share what he took, Cody explained, "It wasn't ADHD medicine, but I had some stuff that was nootropics. I had a nootropics package and the doctor let me bring it and all it is vitamins. Then I had a caffeine supplement, and then I had vitamin D. Then I had something to help me sleep. I had a mouthguard too." Cody Brown's first meal after Special Forces. To celebrate the end of Special Forces, Cody decided to treat himself to an unforgettable meal on board his plane ride home to the United States. "I'm flying Emirates on the way back and they feed me caviar and filet mignon," he said before raving about the dining experience. "It was a giant airplane." Special Forces, World's Toughest Test is available to stream on Hulu now. Sister Wives. Cody Brown's new haircut sparks big comparisons among fans this year. Sister Wives fans have seen a new side of Cody Brown. Brown has been participating in the reality series Special Forces, World's Toughest Test. Cody has been opening up about not only plural marriage, but also his relationship with his children. Cody has recently changed his look and debuted his new look, causing fans to compare him to a character from The Hunger Games. Cody Brown's participation shocked fans. Sister Wives and other TLC fans were shocked to see Cody's name in the list of participants. The competition took him out of his castle, as he calls it, in Flagstaff, Arizona, and placed him in a military-type sitting in Morocco. Some other participants quit within days, but Cody is still giving the competition his all. Cody has made it to the season finale. The Fox reality competition puts the rich and famous to the test with physical, mental, and emotional challenges. Cody Brown generally isn't liked by his co-stars, but he's still in the competition with a strong chance of winning. The Sister Wives episode from November 17th was filmed months ago, but Cody had begun to make some changes there, still Mr. Wishy-Washy. During an emotional moment on Special Forces, Cody Brown took responsibility for his wives leaving. But in a new interview with Good Day New York, he completely changed his tune. "I went into it going, yeah, I was the problem. But in all reality, it's to be shared with ex-wives," he said about who was to blame for the plural marriages ending. Fans called him out for backtracking these words, as all Sister Wives fans have seen the more in-depth version of Brown's life through the show and their books. Fans won't hear his excuses after hearing the wives' points of view say so much more than that actually come out, because this seems much more involved than Cody having no say in this family breakup. Hunger Games comparison. Sister Wives viewers were very vocal about the interview that Cody gave as promotion for the Hunger Games season finale on Thursday. However, do not like backtracking on things he originally took responsibility for. Fans are not ready to believe all of these. Will Cody at least redeem himself to a point that some of the kids will see where he is trying to improve upon himself a little bit? Will Cody make himself look good in some of the children's eyes? Will this win Cody any point off Elise trying as he finishes the competition? Come here for all things Sister Wives. Check back often for Sister Wives news, spoilers, and updates.